Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today we are doing my December reading wrap up. So, I read 11 books in December, one of which was a very tiny novella and one of which was a very tiny classic. So, it was more like 9.5 books that I read. So, let's get into, I also had one DNF. Let's get into the DNF first, because for only reading 2 chapters I have some thoughts. So, I DNF'd A Heart for Christmas after day 2 because the writing was quite frankly terrible. I don't know if, when I've had a look up of this author, every single book is written in French. I don't know if it's just been a really lazy translation or what. The fact of the matter is, there was a typo on the back. So all of this book, based on the typos, the terrible... I don't want to say terrible writing, the boring writing. It's really boring, it's dull, it's cringy, it's like, oh my god, so many cringy moments. They wrote out ARG, like, I'm literally ARG, ... It's Augustin, I don't even know how to pronounce that surname, Faber, Eva's brother. I'm so shocked to see him here, I almost dropped the blanket, but given what I'm wearing, I managed to keep a hold of it. She's wearing like a sweatshirt and some weird shorts and socks. It's not like she's not clothed. Little things like that really cringe. And then here, he's like, he says, "See you soon," he says in a warm voice, looking down at me from his not inconsiderable height. Is he flirting? ? Exclamation mark. With me? Fine then. What? He said see you soon. That's not flirting, babe. He just said he'd see you soon. He's your best friend's brother. Yeah, you're probably going to see him at some point. It was really just so cringe, so young, so juvenile. I know she's meant to be, what, 18? I don't understand also how she's 18 and yet her friend, who is the same age as her, is in her 2nd year of college. Just, yeah, this, terrible, absolutely. Just, it feels like a money grab because it's a novelty. It doesn't feel like any actual thought, intention, or talent, in the nicest way, it went into this. So, it just wasn't made with care. It wasn't made, as, you know, writers where you read the book and you know how much they cared about the plot, the characters, the story that they were telling, the message they wanted to send. And you can tell the writer put so much care and love and intention into the book, and you feel it. Yeah, that's not what you get with this book. You get a complete lack of all of that. The first book I read was The Chase by Elle Kennedy. I've rated this a 3.5 stars. I have not written down my reviews for any of the books I read this month, so I'm going to have to go off the top of my head when I remember what I rated this, because December kind of felt like 3 years long. I'm not going to lie. We've got, okay, Bridgerton aside, and even including Bridgerton, Cullen's not a sexy name. I'm so sorry to Cullens out there, but it's not a sexy name. So we'll refer to this man as Fitzy, which is what everyone else calls him, or Fitz, whatever. We've got Fitzy and we've got Summer. Summer is Dean's sister, who we met in off campus. And Fitzy is one of the hockey players who was like younger, so he hasn't graduated yet. And they kind of have like a little bit of a thing on New Year's, and she overhears him say some not very favourable things about her that he's like telling himself to not have a crush on her because he feels like he's not allowed to. Then we have a forced proximity situation where she is like, I need housing, and Dean's like, don't worry sis, I got you covered. And so she moves in with the hockey boys at the hockey boys house, and we kind of go from there with the romance. It was in some moments just like the miscommunication was a little bit annoying, just a little bit. And some of the decisions Summer made in regards to potentially stringing along another character, didn't love that, not gonna lie. But it was fun. Okay, it was fun. Do I prefer off campus so far? Yes. But it was still fun. So, 3.5. And the worst book I actually read fully this month was Electra by Jennifer Saint. I rated this a 2 stars. I hated most of this. I couldn't get into the story, first of all, so I had to listen to most of this. This is basically, if I had read it closer to reading Song of Achilles, I feel like I would have took more away from it, from like the overall story, because they're linked. So obviously Song of Achilles, towards the end of the story when we're at Troy, this is basically the woman's side of Troy. So you've got Clytemnestra, who is Agamemnon's wife. You've got Cassandra, who is a princess of Troy. And then you've got Electra, who is Clytemnestra and Agamemnon's youngest daughter. This is meant to be a feminist Greek mythology retelling. What I would like to ask is the feminism in the room with us? Because I don't think she is. Electra is the title of the book, and she is the most insufferable character. I don't like how she was written, and I haven't read anything that is more... I haven't read anything else that kind of involves Electra as a character in regards to Greek mythology. So I don't know if it's just this is how she is in everything, or if Jennifer Saint really just made her to be really insufferable and made me want to punch her in the face with a sledgehammer. This girl... Something happens involving Clytemnestra, Agamemnon and their other daughter. If you don't know, I won't say, but if you do know, then you know. Personally, as a woman who is not a mother, if that happened, how Clytemnestra felt, very justified, okay? I would have done far worse, far more violently, and with a lot more excitement about it, if that happened to me. And yet, the way Electra idolizes this person and what she says to her mother is disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And then she has the gall to be offended when a similar thing happens to her, and she's like, well, now I need revenge. I'm like, well, when your mother wanted revenge, you were all like, so what? It happens to everyone. Get a grip. It wasn't feminist. She was defending a man. But on top of that, just the writing was not gripping. I was not interested in the story in the slightest. It was quite a slog to read this book. So I had to listen to most of it because it was the only way to read it, to be honest. So I will be unhauling this, and I will not be reading Ariadne, which is the other book I have, which came out before this one. I just don't think Jennifer Saint's writing is for me. Okay, I also read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I haven't rated this one because it's like 84 pages. I read it just on my phone. There was like a free version on the Apple iBook store. I don't know what to say about this one because I feel like in the same way as with Dracula, you're never in their point of view to actually know, like, the story is about them, and yet they're almost like a phantom in a way. Like, they're not, they are actual characters and you have scenes with them. But I don't know, it was interesting, and I think the thing, in my opinion, there could have been a lot more explored in the story, and it was mostly just a few men being really confused about one of their friends / another strange man that their friend had decided was like gonna inherit his estate, and they were concerned. But I really think there could have, like, 84 pages, there could have been so much more explored with the characters, so much more happen. I just think it was lacking in content, to be honest. But it's an interesting concept of a man accidentally making himself into another person. And I am glad I read it. It was a nice, easy... I say it was easy to read, I just mean because it was short, it didn't take too long. But I haven't got a lot to say because not a lot happened because it's only 84 pages. So that's also why I haven't rated it, because I don't know what I would rate it. Then I read Breathe With Me by Becca Mack. This is the final book in the Playing for Keeps series, and I rated this a 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. It starts out really, it's the horniest of them all to start out. It's the smuttiest of them all to start out. It's also one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever read. It is really, I think, this book tackles infertility issues, and that is something, it's on the blurb. And if you read the other books in the series, it's briefly mentioned then. The way Becca Mack has written Cara's grief for struggling to conceive, it's really like a visceral feeling. You can feel her grief. It's written so explicitly. So I feel like if you are someone who has dealt with infertility or any issues around that, it might be triggering for a lot of women. And for any women who have struggled with infertility but have managed to conceive after, you know, science being amazing, it might be healing. I don't know, but it is a very emotional read because of that. So I would like to just say from the get-go, I think if you are actively struggling, I would skip this book, because I think it would be, I mean, maybe it would make you feel less alone in a way. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I just think because of how viscerally that grief is written, I imagine it would be very, like you would be able to, like, you maybe take that on top of your own pain. I don't know, but it was really good. And the funny moments we got with this farm family, those little moments of reprieve throughout this heartbreaking story, was great. Honestly, there's this one scene where the 5 men, these massive hockey players, are dressed in teeny tiny little kind of men's slutty police costumes, and they like arrest their own kids. It's so funny. Okay, just the random shit that she comes up with that these men do, top tier. It's just so funny, and it's just those moments that made this whole series one of my favourite series so far. This is definitely my favourite Found Family, and I'm kind of sad that this is over, but it's definitely a series I feel like I could reread in the future to get that feeling back. Okay, and then I read the Christmas in Chestnut Springs novella by Elsie Silver, so I haven't rated that because it's like 40 pages long, but that was really cute. It was nice and wholesome. I can't complain. Then I read Dashing All the Way by Chelsea Curto. I've rated this one 3 stars. This is my first Chelsea Curto book. I do really want to read the DC Star series this year, now that we're in January. This book it's under 300 pages on Kindle. It's a little Christmassy rom-com, age gap, ex's dad trope. And I will say, this is my 3rd ex's dad book I have read. Out of all of them, all the dads felt a little bit of guilt, at least, that they were dating their son's ex. This man had none, not even a single bit. He, if anything, he almost like set the whole family against the son. I didn't like him for that, I'm not gonna lie. I just thought I was really just uncalled for, because he wasn't like the nicest boyfriend, don't get me wrong. He wasn't the nicest guy, but he's young and stupid. A dad still shouldn't feel that way and act that way towards their son. I don't know, but it was really fun. It was really spicy at some points. Like, it was a very spicy book, but it was really fun, and it was Christmassy. So then I read Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. This is the final book in the Lakefront Billionaires series, and I rated this a 4.75 stars. This was so good. I had a feeling Lorenzo was going to be my favourite, and I was not wrong. Technically the first book in the series seems to be my favourite because that was a 5 stars. But Lorenzo is my favourite man. I love him so much. I really relate to him on a very base level. Something that I wouldn't say that I have tendencies. I don't want to say what it is exactly that Lorenzo struggles with. But a lot of the thoughts he has and the tendencies are something that I struggle with on a day-to-day basis, and something that I have to work on myself, and I do try. And I felt really seen by his character. I just thought those things were written really well. The only thing about this book I think that made it not a 5 stars is it was a little bit too much. Oh, we'll get together. No, we won't. We'll get together. No, we won't. We'll get together. No, we won't. It was a little bit too on and off for me. But we're basically following Lorenzo, who is running for mayor, and Lily, who is Dahlia's sister from the first book. So, like I say, Lorenzo's running for mayor, but it's not looking good for him because in Wisteria Lake, there's been the same family who has been mayor. It's very like nepotism based for centuries, basically. And so it's not looking great for him. And Lily is running her parents' florist. And they're basically, if the current mayor's son becomes the next mayor, she's going to lose her business. So she really wants Lorenzo to be mayor. So they come up with basically like a fake dating scenario to make him look better because she's basically the sweetheart of Lake Wisteria. And we kind of go from there. It was just really fun. So binge-worthy. I read this in 2 days. I worked one of those days and went to my mum's house for my brother's birthday. And the day before that, I had a busy day as well. I don't know how. I literally inhaled this book. This series has been my favourite out of the 3 Laura Nasher series I have read so far to date. I just think her writing's really improved. I love Dirty Air series and I love the Dreamland Billionaire series. And you can tell through each series that her writing gets better each time. And yeah, this was a great series. This was a great round off to the series. I can't wait to see what she reads next. She has said that she's not ready to let go of Lake Wisteria yet, so fingers crossed we get some more in future. The only thing I would say, there was no Carl cameo, and I wish there was, because Lorenzo's running for mayor and Carl lives there. I feel like we could have had a Carl cameo, because it's to do with where he lives. I'm sure he'd want to get involved. Then I read Between Never and Forever by Shane Rose. This is book 3 of the Hardy Brothers series. I rated this at 3 stars. This is probably my least favourite of the series so far, just because I really hated the FMC. And I didn't like the MMC at first, but then at least I felt bad for him and felt like he was deep down a good man that had been wronged. And for some reason, everyone was taking her side, even though she's the one that made the mistake. So this is a second chance romance. We're following Dax and Kehlani. They were like, not childhood sweethearts, but they were together as teenagers. And something happens and basically she leaves. And he's left to pick up the pieces and also being left to look like the bad guy. So his reputation in their hometown is like ruined basically. And Kehlani is like she's Taylor Swift basically. She's Taylor Swift. She's a child singer. Kehlani has no real adult that's on her side as a teenager who is in the spotlight and who is quite a famous singer. So I do feel bad for her that she's had a lot of people just out for their own gain and use her in that way and lead her down a path in which she's very much trapped. Her dad is just completely useless. He's not a father, he's just not a parent. He's very much my wife comes first in everything, which I don't agree with, but anyway. But at the end of the day, a lot of decisions she's made and a lot of the lies she has told to the people who did not deserve them, that's on her. And yet, like I say, everyone took her side. Her best friend is his brother. So Dax's brother, Dimitri, actively was like, yeah, I'm on her side if you hurt her again. I'm like, she hurt herself from the decisions she made and the choices that she... I'm not going to get into it. I had a whole reading vlog in which I talked about this, but yeah. But it was entertaining, so I gave it a 3 stars. I just really didn't like Kehlani because I didn't like how she was portrayed as being in the right when in my opinion she really wasn't. So yeah, I was wanting to finish this series in December and read the next book, but the next book is Dimitri, who currently is in my bad books, but also it's another fake dating. So Between Love and Loathing was fake dating, this was fake dating, and the third one is fake dating. It was just a bit too much in one go, so I'm gonna leave that and read that in like a few months time probably. But this was my least favourite so far. Then I read Pride and Prejudice. I did listen to a lot of this, I'm not gonna lie, and some of it I did immersive read, but I listened to most of this. I've given this a 3.5 stars because what is it about classics where there's never any plot? Like there was, don't get me wrong, but it was just, I don't know. It was good. Mr. Darcy will forever be my favourite autistic MMC, but poor Mr. Collins, in some ways I'm like, clearly he's autistic too, and yet he's just like He is really weird, and in the 2005 movie, he's portrayed really creepily. Do not get me wrong. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this book. I read it. I'm really glad I read it, and because I read it, I reached my goal of reading 5 classics this year, 2025. So yeah, I will be reading more of Jane Austen's work. I really want to read Emma, because apparently that's very funny, and Sense and Sensibility, which I do have downstairs. I don't have Emma. So I still do want to read more classics. I did enjoy this. I think it is quite a decent classic to read because it doesn't feel really heavy reading it. Like, it's not the hardest classic to read. It's quite an easy one. Based on a few of the ones I've read this year, I would say Little Women and this one are quite on par, where yeah, you have to take a little bit more brain power because you kind of are having to translate for yourself from this older style of English to more modern English, but it's a lot more accessible. The next book I half read, half listened to was Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zorner. So this is, I just downloaded it on Kindle randomly one day earlier this year, or last year. I keep forgetting it's January 1st as I'm filming this. And I do quite enjoy consuming various modes of entertainment surrounding Korean culture. Being that I like K-pop, I like K-dramas, and I just like learning about the country as a whole. I think it's a very interesting country. And so I saw that it seemed really highly regarded, and about a Korean American woman, Michelle Zorner, who was trying to come to terms with her mum passing, but also trying to figure out how to keep the Korean part of her alive, because she grew up in America and she's got an American dad, and her mum was her link to her Korean heritage, and it's a lot about how she comes to terms with her mum passing when she felt so connected to her mum and quite dependent on her mum in some ways, and also kind of coming to terms or trying to reconnect with the Korean side of her heritage without her mum. And it was really, oh my god, it was so well written. I loved it. I was so interested straight off the bat. She's a singer-songwriter. She's the lead of a group called Japanese Breakfast, which is ironic because she's Korean. And I hadn't heard of her before. It was just I'd seen this and it happened to have like amazing reviews, and so I downloaded it. And I needed to read a memoir before the end of the year, so I picked this one because it was also a Kindle book and it was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So, but I'm so happy that I picked it up because, like I say, it was a really interesting story. It absolutely broke my heart. In some places, I can't imagine what it's like to lose a parent, and especially she was younger than I am now. And like I say, it was just written so well. I don't know how to explain it. Like, normally with non-fiction, I'm like, oh, it's kind of boring. But this was not boring in the slightest. It was a really interesting story. The way she told it was just really gripping and interesting, and yeah, I'm really glad I read it, and I highly recommend it if you want to read a memoir. This just has, I don't know, it was just, the writing was so good, and I can't even explain why the writing was good. It was just that perfect balance of descriptive and getting to the point, and it was emotive without being overly flowery or like performative. Like, it was really good. It was really good, and I really enjoyed it, so I really recommend, especially if you do have an interest in Korean culture. Obviously the whole thing's not about Korean culture because she is also American, and it's for the most part set as her living in America with the occasional visit to Korea. It's just, I think there's a lot you can learn from the book, and there's a lot, you know, you can take away, so I highly recommend that. I haven't rated it because it's a memoir. If I was going to, I'd probably rate it 5 stars because I have no criticism of it. And then finally I read Good Spirits by B.K. Barson. I tried to read this on Christmas Day. No, I tried to read this on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but just my mum does not stop talking. I love her so much, but she'll be sat there quiet for like 2 minutes. I get like half a page down and then she's like, the lighting is just getting significantly darker throughout this video because it's getting darker outside. Anyway, yes, my camera got too hot. Yes, obviously it was Christmas, so I wasn't going to read a lot, and it was to spend time with family. So I'm not mad at my mum talking a lot, but I didn't manage to get anything read. So I started it again on Boxing Day, finished it the day after. I gave this a 4.5 stars. This was so heartwarming. This was so sweet. I really enjoyed this book. It was so Christmassy in the best way as well. Like, this was definitely like, you get romances set at Christmas and then you get Christmassy romances. This was a Christmassy romance in the best way. Once again, just B.K. Barson, her writing and her storytelling. This made me cry at the end. This was so sad. And I knew everything was going to work out, but I was just like, I really just felt what she was feeling. So I just highly recommend this book. This is a romance between Harriet, who owns like an antique shop, and Nolan, who is a ghost of a Christmas past. I don't want to say more than that. That's all you need to know. Okay, this was so good. So good. I highly recommend. So, yes, that is the 11 books I read in December. I am going to go on. It was filmed before this, so it will be better lighting. But we'll go on to do my January TBR in the same video. Why not? Might as well put the two together. So we will go over to that in a second. So yeah, this year I read 117 books. Last year now, because it's now the first. So I'm really happy with that. I do think it's been a weird reading year. I'm going to do a proper end of year like wrap up thing, which will probably come out after this video. It's been a weird year, so I'm really hoping. Like, my average was 3.9. That's so sad. We want a 4 point, like an upper 4 next year, okay? Like, it's not that bad, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm really wanting to make 2026 a year of bangers only books. I want to just read all the books that I'm dying to read, all the series I'm dying to start. I'm really going to focus on those. So, should I be focusing on my fiscal TBR? Yes. Am I going to? No, because I have so many book series that I really want to read. Fantasy and dark romance and just all these. I'm just going to read the books that I'm dying to read. And also try and finish a bunch of series that I'm in the middle of. Or at least get up to date, because it is a bit ridiculous now. Yes, so let's go over to my TBR jar, picking my January TBR. Okay, we are over to the TBR portion of the video. And I am going to be using my trusty TBR jar to do that. But first, let me tell you the TBR that I have set for myself that I just want to read in January. Okay, the first two go together. I do want to reread Quicksilver so that I can read Brimstone. I read Quicksilver in April, so I just feel like I need a catch up, and I'll read the Kingfisher chapters as well. And then we're going to go into Brimstone. I'm very excited to read this. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm gonna like it based on the people who have similar book tastes to me. I know it's had some bad reviews, but the people who have similar book tastes to me have all liked it, so I'm quite confident that I will. Okay, these two are a rollover. We have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern and Forever Never by Lucy Score. These two both need to be read this winter. Oh, I'm not gonna be happy. I don't know why I keep putting them off. I really want to read them both. And the other book I don't have a physical copy of, but I did buy Heated Rivalry on Kindle. I never buy Kindle books. I always use Kindle Unlimited, but it's not on Kindle Unlimited. And the physical copies don't get released until the 20th of January of the new covers. I know this is book 2 of a 6-book series, but I have had a streak the last 2 years of the first book I read being a 5 stars. And I have been, bear in mind, I haven't read for about 4 or 5 days now. And so I'm really raring to go. I'm really excited to read. I'm glad I gave myself the break. But I have been, for the last 2 or 3 days, thinking, right, what do I really think is going to be a 5 stars? What could I, to keep this streak going? And I was umming and ahhing of a few different ones, and honestly I really think this one could be a 5 stars, and I know it's the second book, but if I read the first book, then it ruins the streak. So I am going to jump on the bandwagon, and hopefully I will do a reading vlog of reading this book, and fingers crossed it will be a 5 stars. We will see. Anyway, let's get into the TBR jar. I'm only going to pick 5 prompts because I have 5 books already that I have picked for January anyway. So I am going to stick to prompts and not the like light pink papers at the bottom that are specific books. Cover with your least favourite colour on it. We all know that's yellow. Actually, I don't really like green either. There's only specific shades of green that I like. So, I have 3 least favourite colours, which is brown, green and yellow. And orange, so 4. But there's certain shades of each of those colours that I do like. But I also, yeah. So I'm going to go for green for this prompt. And I'm going to pick Juniper Hill by Daphne Perry so I can continue on the Eden series. And this will be a nice, short, easy read. I mean, Indigo Ridge I read basically in one sitting. So I need to try and keep up with series I'm in the middle of. So, yeah. We've got even number of pages. Okay, I've got 2 options. Both of them are kind of purple as well. So we have The Risk by Elle Kennedy and Crossed by Emily McIntyre. Again, both of these are continuing on with series that I'm currently in the middle of. I have 3 left of the Briar You series and 2 left of the Never After series. So part of me is thinking, do I do Crossed and then potentially Hexed afterwards and that one's done? And the other part of me is thinking, Briar You adds more like fresh in my memory, and they are interconnected standalones, but these ones are just standalones. So yeah, because this one's more fresh in my head, this series, I'm going to go with The Risk. Okay, 3rd prompt. I have 3 somehow. 3 for 3, I suppose. There we go. We have title starts with the letter C. Well, Crossed works for C. Also, I am wearing pyjama bottoms. Anyway, we could do Crossed. I have got books that begin with C, but then they're like the middle book in a series that I'm not up to yet, so that doesn't help. I think we have to, it's either Crossed or Cross the Line, and Cross the Line will be starting a new series. So it turns out Crossed is making its way onto my TBR this month. Anyway, prompt number 4. I can never get just one for some reason. Okay, a book with an illustrated cover. What I'm going to do this year as well is the prompts that I get for each month, I'm going to take them out and then I'll not put them back in until later on in the year to try and get some more like newer prompts. Because I did put some new prompts in, have barely gotten any since I've done that. So, right, illustrated cover. I could do the play and continue on with the Briar You series again. Do you know what, I am actually going to do that. I'm going to put the play on to try and get this series more nearly. If I kind of complete this series this month, at least it'll be 2 books more done and I'll only have 1 left. So, okay, last prompt for, I've got 2 again. Which one do we go for? Let's do this one. Oh, we have best friend picks. I don't know whether to FaceTime her and just let her look at the shelves, or whether to pick a few options and send a photo and get her to pick from those. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is send her screenshots of my Kindle Unlimited library that I have downloaded at the moment and have her pick one of the Kindle books I will read this month. Okay, I'm going to give Katie time to read the message and pick, and also my lunch is going to be ready in a minute and a half. So I will come back to you once we've had a reply and then we can discuss the final TBR for January. Okay. I've had food. Katie has replied. Okay. She has gone for Reign of Shadow and Endings, which is, okay, technically I could read that one first, and it is fine. Loads of people have read that series first, but so many people say you need to read Lady of Darkness first. So, do I give her the option of repicking? Or do I read Reign of Shadow and Endings and then go into Lady of Darkness? Oh, okay, apparently it does contain significant spoilers for the Lady of Darkness series. It reveals character pairings, plot points. Okay, I'm giving Katie the option of, I could either read Lady of Darkness, which I do have the physical copy of, or she can pick a different one, because I don't want my experience of reading Lady of Darkness to be ruined by reading Reign of Shadow and Endings first. Of all the books that she could have chosen as well, there's only one. Okay, let's do a recap while we're waiting for her to reply. So for books I have chosen for the TBR, we have Quicksilver, Brimstone, Forever Never, The Night Circus and Heated Rivalry, which I am going to start very soon and I'm very excited. And then the TBR jar has picked. For a book with a cover of my least favourite colour, we have gone for Juniper Hill because it's green. For even number of pages, we have gone for The Risk by Elle Kennedy. For title that starts with a C, we have gone for Crossed by Emily McIntyre. And for illustrated cover, we have gone for The Play by Elle Kennedy. And then for best friend chooses, I will put on screen because she's not replied yet. And I don't know what we're doing, but I will put on screen which book we are going for best friend chooses. Okay, now we have our TBR picked. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!